In the past 24 hours, the occupying Russian forces in Ukraine have suffered losses of at least 2,030 personnel, 34 artillery systems, 8 tanks, and 1 air defense system. Ukrainian Armed Forces General Staff reported the information. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, 207 combat clashes took place between the Russian occupiers and Ukrainian soldiers in the past 24 hours alone. The Russians tried to break through the defense of the armed forces on Pokrovsky in Toretsk directions more than 100 times. It is indicated that the Russian army launched 2 missile and 93 airstrikes against the positions of Ukrainian units and population centers using 111 missiles and 67 anti-aircraft missiles. Moreover, it is specified that the enemy launched more than 4,800 attacks, 126 of them from rocket salvo fire systems, and used more than 1,700 kamikaze drones for attacks. The enemy attacked the areas of Alexandria and Esmen settlements of the Sumy region with means of bombing and attack aircraft. It is also reported that on November 28, aviation, missile forces and artillery of the defense forces made 9 strikes on the areas of concentration of personnel and anti-aircraft defenses of the enemy. As Deep State reports, the Russians have made some progress. In particular, the enemy has advanced into Kurakovo, Pokrovsky district, Donetsk region. The enemy advanced near Bolshaya Novosayolka, Razliv, Zaria, Zelty, Pushkino, in Berestki and Kurakovo, the report says.
In the Kursk region of the Russian Federation, where the Ukrainian armed forces are conducting a special operation, more than 20,000 Russian occupiers have already been destroyed, which is equal to the composition of 5 brigades. According to the general of the Ukrainian army, head of the Foreign Intelligence Service of Ukraine, Nikolai Malomuz, these enemy forces could go to Ugledar or Zaporozhye. In his opinion, the situation in Kursk region should be considered dynamically. In particular, the strategic operation was launched when there was no large concentration of Russian troops there. Conscripts, representatives of the Russian Guard and the FSB, who are not combat units, were deployed there. We used the element of surprise, secrecy, and of course prepared powerful combat units with advanced equipment. Therefore, the movement to control this buffer zone 1,380 kilometers away was effective, and accordingly, the enemy could not immediately concentrate significant forces to resist. Now up to 55,000 people have been generated there, and during this period we have destroyed about 22,000. These are huge losses for the enemy. In a brigade format, this is tactically up to 5 brigades deployed, the specialist told journalists. According to him, these forces could have long ago gone to Ugledar, Pokrovsk, Kurakovo, and even Zaporizhia. Malomuz added that the Ukrainian armed forces are waging a maneuver war in Kursk region. That is, the Ukrainian fighters are not faced with the task of holding positions and holding the initial 1,300 to 1,400 square kilometers at any cost. We are conducting operations, have destroyed a large number of the enemy, have pulled back more than 50,000, are retreating, looking at where to strike the enemy unexpectedly, in grey zones. Therefore, to say that we simply lost territory is not easy. We retreated according to plan in order to create problems for the enemy, in particular by encircling our troops. The expert emphasized. He said that in Kursk region, the defense forces are carrying out non-standard actions, which greatly worries the enemy. In particular, the Ukrainian armed forces are unexpectedly striking the enemy from the flanks, from the rear, destroying enemy headquarters, equipment, and the like. Literally yesterday, the day before yesterday, our special forces carried out operations to destroy a large number of the enemy. These are not strategic offensive operations, but this is a war that exhausts the enemy, draws away his forces and resources, says Malomuz. At the same time, according to him, a certain buffer zone is being created in Kursk region. Russian soldiers are being taken prisoner. All this creates preconditions for the negotiation process, but also undermines the prestige of the Kremlin dictator Vladimir Putin, who can do nothing. Malomuz doubts that the enemy will be able to liberate Kushchina by January the 20th, 2025, as Putin wants. As of now, the entry of the North Korean military onto combat operations has also been unsuccessful. They entered the battle, but did not demonstrate high quality of combat operations. I think they will not show it, the expert believes.
Russia's foreign ministry says it has revoked the accreditation of 2 employees of the German ARD broadcaster and ordered them to leave the country, in what it described as retaliation to German authorities' move targeting 2 journalists from Russia's state TV. Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova said on Wednesday that it may issue accreditations to other ARD employees if German authorities allows journalists from Russia's Channel 1 to work in Berlin. German Foreign Ministry spokesperson Christian Wagner denied the federal government had shut Channel 1's office, as the Russian broadcaster has claimed. The federal government has not closed the office of this broadcaster, Wagner told a news conference. Russian journalists can report freely and unhindered in Germany. He added that federal authorities in Germany don't deal with issues regarding Russian journalists' resident status. Berlin's State Immigration Office said that on November 22 it refused residence permits for the head of Channel 1's bureau and for a cameraman with the channel. It said the decision could be appealed. The move followed decisions to refuse German residency for a Brazilian citizen working for Ruptly, a Russian state-owned video news agency, and for the head of the Rossiya Segednya news agency and his wife. Channel 1 has been under European Union sanctions since December 2022 as tensions soared between Moscow and the West over Russia's military operation in Ukraine. The EU's sanctions prevent the channel from broadcasting in Europe but do not affect the presence of staff who work for it in Berlin.
Дело в том, что теперь работу заблокировали в Германии корреспондентов Первого канала Ивана Благова и оператора Дмитрия Волкова. Так вот, в ответ на запрет властей ФРГ на пребывание и работу корреспондентов Первого канала, мы вынуждены принять зеркальные меры в отношении журналистов московского представительства немецкой медиагруппы АРД. В соответствии с принципами свободы средств массовой информации, свободы слова на основе взаимности, мы будем готовы рассмотреть возможность аккредитации новых сотрудников АРД в нашей стране, но только после создания правительством ФРГ условий для работы российских журналистов и полноценного возобновления деятельности корпункта Первого канала в Берлине.